Today I want to talk about arguably the most celebrated trait that you can have in American society, and that is leadership. From pretty much birth, leadership is an extremely valued quality in the American education system and in America in general. At least until you become a politician, it is considered a very good thing to be a leader, and you can often get promotions or good grades or awards or whatever for it. But I do think it's kind of interesting that we start off with this great, reward system for leadership, even when it maybe shouldn't be there. So today we're going to be exploring leadership through the generations, how various generations and age groups can use leadership, and how it kind of looks in practice. So starting right off, we're going to go and talk about the very beginning of life. In this case, we're going to talk about preschool. Now, I would talk about babies, but the thing is, leadership amongst babies is a very hard thing to discuss, as it's kind of difficult to argue that they are, in fact, leading each other when they're all just kind of sitting next to each other in incubators or in cradles or something like that. Plus, I'm not very familiar with babies, so I'm not very familiar with kids at all, but we're going to talk about that anyway. So anyway, moving right on to preschoolers. So from what I remember, in preschool, leadership is essentially determined by who can eat the most stuff without throwing up. And basically, you would be followed if you were someone that knew what stuff could and couldn't be eaten, and if you could get enough people to eat the correct things and not the wrong ones. And so in preschool, there becomes a social dynamic where a leader will go out into the playground and decide, okay, what in my grand vast kingdom must I eat today to prove my dominance over the masses? And me, as a good preschool leader, one day found the legendary four-leafed clover and was able to share this beacon of luck and goodwill with all of my subjects, who eagerly gobbled down the clover and proclaims me the benevolent leader of their group. And so, in this way, you can see that leadership is even in the smallest of human beings. From the very second we are put in contact with one another, we begin leading, seeking those things that one person can do a little bit better than everyone else, and putting them on a pedestal for it. Once you get into kind of the whole elementary school thing, it does change just a tiny bit. Now we're a little bit past the whole putting everything in your mouth stage, and now we're actually towards real games like catch and tag. And if you were my group, we played Mario. We acted out Mario scenes, so that was fun. But in elementary school, what determined the leader is who could pick the best games. And so here, to maintain your dominance, you would have to look at your peers and determine, okay, so Timmy really likes to play tag, but Jeremy doesn't. And we played tag yesterday. So maybe we should do what Jeremy wants to do instead of what Jimmy wants to do. And then you have to proceed to try and calm down the kid that doesn't get what they want, and or try to escort them over to the teacher so that they can go ahead, cry their eyes out, and the rest of us can have a good old time playing whatever it is we're playing. In elementary school, it is very important that you make sure to appease the most people in your group and you have the fewest people crying, because the less people that are crying, the more people you get to play with and the more fun you will have. Additionally, you have the benefit of being the final decision maker. If people want to play tag or catch equally, and you personally prefer the game of catch, you then, as the leader, get the supreme right of being able to make that decision for yourself and therefore for the entire group. As you can see, in elementary school, people will flock to those who make successful decisions that result in the fewest amount of crying, and also those decisions that allow for their games to be picked the most often. It's a very delicate balance if you want to create an elementary kingdom in which you are the one and sole dictator who pretends to have a moderate democracy forming when in reality there is just an illusion of one. Moving on to middle school, and now you have a bit more of a democracy, but not really. But the most important change that happens in middle school is who is in your group, and your leadership status is no longer determined by something as trivial as taste testing or choosing the correct games. No, instead it's on the all-important coolness scale. In middle school, being a leader means being able to decide who is cool, who is not, and how you can be the cool kid. If you can successfully place yourself in the cool kids table and put yourself in the kingdom of the cool kids along with all of the other kingdoms, then you are correct. If you in fact fail to do this, if you are not able to discern between the cool kids and the lame kids, or do not accept the various declarations of coolness versus uncoolness and the various outcasts that all of the other cool kids have laid out before you, you may not be a leader in this system. This system is much more exclusive than either of the two that I talked about prior, and it in fact requires not only the acceptance of your loyal group of followers, but the acceptance of the other leaders of middle school, so that the various clans do not clash and instead are able to work successfully together in order to create the ultimate middle school kingdom. Now, as a kid, I very much did succeed in the elementary and preschool levels, but when it came to middle school, the other clans were so ferocious and their demands so long that I just wasn't able to accept them. You see, getting to middle school, I had to relinquish my throne. I had to step down to the level of a poor outcast. For I was unwilling to make those distinctions which would allow me to rise above like all of the others. And so I was alone, a leaf in the wind blowing about, trying to find my place in the world. And then came high school. Now, in high school, what leadership is based off of is essentially a combination of effective task delegation and effective fun management. Because in high school, you have two jobs: get all your work done and make sure to make friends and have good experiences that you can look back on and make musicals about that will be extremely popular for the rest of time. So in high school, you have to maintain this balance, because if you're too much of a work organizer or too much of just an activity organizer, you're not going to be an effective leader on the whole. And so in high school, especially my high school, I saw the rise of the honors leaders. These were kids that were mostly from honors classes, which would gain followings from the other classes, the non-honors classes, who believed them to be good at balancing entertainment and schoolwork. These are people that can match up others with mentors and assist on various assignments to allow for more leisure time and more effective studying. In this position, I was able to reach only in my junior and my senior years. I started out being a very efficient work manager, but what it took me a lot of time to learn was the ability to manage that fun and that entertainment with that work. Nowadays, I try to do that through things like comedy and breaks and such like that allows me to be an effective leader in high school and even outside of it now in college. Needless to say, in high school, it is extremely important that you manage these skills. For to be a follower in high school is to descend to the ranks of the lame kids, a status that you have learned from your middle school experience is equivalent to being dirt. Finally, in college, leadership is essentially being able to match up schedules. And this will make sense to those of you who aren't in college when you get there. But for those of us who are in college, just you know who you are, all of your schedules just don't match up with anyone. Maybe they match up with a close friend or two who you actually planned your schedule with, but other than that, it's very difficult to see the same people in classes, or it's at least very difficult to have your free times line up as you all attempt to participate in different clubs, activities, sports, and homework and tests and everything. It's just impossible to kind of get those schedules to line up. So in college, the leader is often determined by the person who takes all of those pictures of schedules that are sent to the group chat and actually goes through each of them and finds the times that are actually open. These people are leaders because absolutely no one else wants to do this work of putting stuff in a spreadsheet and figuring it all out. And so the people that actually do and are actually patient enough for this are raised to an extremely high level for a completely justified reason. As of right now, I am not really a leader in college. I am somewhat of one with one of my starting clubs for Uno that I am working on. However, as we have yet to have a successful meeting, I have yet to consider myself a successful leader. Successful leaders do include, however, the person in charge of my Honors Catalyst group who took all 4 of our very complex schedules and managed to find that there is absolutely no time that works for all of us and got us to work on the weekends. And another good leader is the DM of one of my D&D groups who was able to figure out when all those schedules could sort of maybe work out and have a good session. So to all those leaders, you have my utmost respect and loyalty as a follower, and I one day hope to join your ranks as the elite of the world. So what have we really determined here? What really is a leader and what really makes them elevated? There isn't really a set thing in any of these that's consistent other than what I like to call a willingness to decide. A leader is someone who can take a lot of choices and whittle them down to the one that is most likely to work for the most people. Additionally, a leader is nothing without followers. So you must not only have that willingness to decide, but a willingness of your followers to follow you. Therefore, your decisions must be approved and accepted and generally liked for you to be considered a leader, at least in this definition. So to all of those aspiring leaders out there who maybe don't know exactly where to go and how to lead, and you were just put in charge of this project and you just don't know what to do, calm down. All you have to do to be a leader is take the opinions and the ideas of those around you, lay them out in front of you, see which ones cancel each other out, see which ones disagree with each other and just won't work. Find the ones that do work, that the most people agree on, and then use those ideas to move forward. Find compromises. Find ways of helping people to work together instead of work against each other. Make a good decision. And to be honest, figuring out what a good decision is a highly complicated thing that I can simply distill into make the decision that makes the most people happy, or make the decision that's best for the team. And yes, those things can be different, and yes, that is confusing. So, in conclusion, if you want to be a leader, all you have to do is make a decision and be confident in it. At the end of the day, it does kind of matter whether your people follow you, but I will guarantee that no matter what you say, if you are confident in it, about 10 to 20% more people will be confident in you, at least. If you are confident in yourself, and you are confident in your ability to decide, people will follow you. And once you've got people following you, people agreeing with you, and a decision to work on, you've got a successful group with a fantastic leader. So anyways, I hope that you guys enjoyed these kind of fun examples of leaders through the ages, as well as a little bit of this kind of existential pondering of what a leader really is, and my very egocentric idea that I think I can tell you how to be a leader, which is kind of funny to me. If you did enjoy it, leave a like or a comment or even subscribe. That'd be great. Then you can be one of those great followers to follow my great leadership. You will not regret it, I think. And yeah, I hope you guys soar high and enjoy your ride.